India made it clear that conflict can only be resolved through dialogue and diplomacy. In fact, Prime Minister Modi is perhaps the only world leader to visit both Russia and Ukraine since the war began. This visit, which is the first by any Indian Prime Minister to Ukraine since the country's independence, is more about signalling and optics. And speaking of optics, here's what the visit looked like. Prime Minister Modi's first images with the Ukrainian president showed a somber moment between the two leaders. They shook hands before the Prime Minister engulfed the Ukrainian president in a hug. This was what transpired right at the beginning. Then the duo toured the war-torn country's martyrologist exposition. The Indian Prime Minister's hand remained firmly on Zelensky's shoulder, a gesture of India's solidarity with Ukraine. Prime Minister Modi later tweeted as well that conflict is especially devastating for young children. He said his heart goes out to the families of the children who lost their lives. He says, "I pray that these families find the strength to overcome their grief." Prime Minister Modi has often spoken about the importance of respecting territorial integrity and sovereignty of nations. He has continuously pushed for diplomacy and dialogue to end the war. And as he carried that message of peace today in Ukraine, he paid homage to Mahatma Gandhi at a statue in Kiev. He underscored the timeless relevance of Gandhi and the path that is shown by him, which offers solutions, he says, to present-day global challenges. Now, the US and its allies have often implored India to take a clearer stand on the war, but they have refrained from applying any sort of pressure. It is perhaps because New Delhi has taken the right stance that benefits the world as a whole. Now, while Prime Minister Modi was in Moscow in July, he did reiterate the need to respect the United Nations Charter, a message he echoed in Kiev today as well. In fact, today, when he met Volodymyr Zelensky, the Prime Minister said that any war's first casualty are innocent children, which is very painful. In any civilized world with regard to human values, such incidents are simply unacceptable, said the Prime Minister. In Russia last month, Prime Minister Modi said that a solution to any conflict cannot be found on the battlefield. It was a continuation of when he was said that this is not the era of war. Today too, he told the Ukrainian people that our approach, which means India's approach, is going to remain away from war. We have been always on the side of peace and will continue to do so. Dialogue is the only way to end strife and find the middle ground. That's what's been India's unequivocal message and stance. Today, New Delhi reiterated that commitment to peace. Prime Minister Modi told Volodymyr Zelensky that in every peace effort, India is ready to play an active role, and that Prime Minister Modi personally wants to contribute in any way that he can as a friend. Listen in to what the Prime Minister told Volodymyr Zelensky during those closed-door talks.
युद्ध से दूर रहने का हम बहुत ही कन्विक्शन के साथ युद्ध से दूर रहे हैं, लेकिन इसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि हम तटस्थ थे, हम न्यूट्रल नहीं थे। हम पहले दिन से ही पक्षकार रहे हैं और हमारा पक्ष है शांति का। हम बुद्ध की धरती से आते हैं, जहां युद्ध को कोई स्थान नहीं होता है। हम महात्मा गांधी की धरती से आते हैं, जिसने पूरे विश्व को शांति का संदेश दिया है। एक्सेलेंसी, मैं आज जब यूक्रेन आया हूं, तब मैं 140 करोड़ भारतीयों की भावना को लेकर के आया। एक्सेलेंसी, मैं आपको विश्वास दिलाना चाहता हूं कि शांति के हर प्रयास में भारत अपनी सक्रिय भूमिका निभाने के लिए तैयार है। व्यक्तिगत रूप से मैं भी अगर इसमें कोई योगदान कर सकता हूं, तो मैं जरूर करना चाहूंगा। एक मित्र के रूप में मैं आपको विश्वास दिलाता हूं।
Let me open this up. Senior Konzativa, senior Russian journalist, now joins us on this broadcast. Major General Sanjay Mistin, who's an expert in geopolitics, is with us as well. Former Indian diplomat Ashok Sajanhar joins us. But I would like to open this up by asking my first question to the Ukrainian member of parliament who joins us on this broadcast. Oleksiy Goncharenko joins us, and thank you so much for speaking with us here on CNN News 18. You know, we saw the pictures that came in today. Prime Minister Modi, Volodymyr Zelensky, remembering the children that were killed during airstrikes in Kharkiv. The message that was put forward by both those leaders is that at least spare children. Children can't be made the casualties of war. How do you take that? How do you take the message that came to the fore from the Indian Prime Minister?
think that India can play a great role in pressuring Russia to stop this aggression, to finish this war. And India knows, and India wants peace on the planet, and it can be a huge impact from India and its leader in pushing Russia to stop this aggression, stop killing its children, stop dying people. And I think this was the message which we saw from President Zelensky and Prime Minister Modi.
But last month when Prime Minister Modi was in Moscow, we saw the kind of words that were used by President Zelensky. Not only did he take that visit kindly, but he had some very strong views about the hug, especially that was shared by Prime Minister Modi and Vladimir Putin. What do you make of this particular visit? Do you think this is something that placates Ukraine as far as India's stance is concerned?
It's historical because it's for the first time during the independence of Ukraine that the Indian leader came to Kiev, and we appreciate this. Yes, it's not just President Zelensky, it's all Ukrainians. We all didn't like these hugs between Prime Minister Modi and President Putin, because Putin is a killer, Putin is a murderer, Putin is a convicted war criminal. So that's why for us it's important to see Prime Minister Modi now in Kiev. And we hope that it will not be just a visit of courtesy, and it will not be just a visit of, just to close the page about his visit to Moscow, but it will really mean something, that it will mean a new page in Ukrainian-Indian relationship. And India is the biggest democracy in the world. And I'm sure that India can play a great role in the victory of democracy in the world. And for this, India should take a side and should support the finish of this war. And Russia is part of this autocracy's axis: China, North Korea, Syria, and other countries, and Russia. And I'm sure that it's not in the best interests of Indian people to be in this axis or to be connected to this.
But India has taken a side. Ashok Sajanhar, we've been often criticized of being fence sitters or not taking a side. But India, in fact, has taken a side, especially as far as the criticism with our ties with Russia was concerned. India made it clear that Indian interests were paramount, and which is why we were going to ensure that our relationships with every single ally that we have will continue to be as steadfast as they were. But that does not mean that we were compromising on our stance on peace.
Yeah, you're very right. Poonam, thank you very much for having me on your show. You're very right. India has taken a stand, and it has taken a very clear stand. It's not only in terms of, what you mentioned just now, that we have spoken out in favor of promoting, safeguarding and promoting our own national interest. That is in the context of both importing oil from there, because otherwise, if India had not imported oil, and India is dependent to the extent of about 85% of its requirements for import of oil, then the prices in the domestic market would have skyrocketed, and that would have become totally unsustainable. So there was no way in which India could have given up on this import of oil from Russia, because all the European countries, after they stopped importing oil from Russia, they went to the Middle East to import oil from there. And if India had also gone to the same market, this would have really increased the prices, which would have become totally unsustainable. Second point is, right from the word go, India has maintained that the path to be followed is one of dialogue and diplomacy. You would remember even in September 22, just a few months after the war started, that Prime Minister Modi, he had met President Putin in Samarkand on the sidelines of the SCO summit. And he had told him that this is not an era of war. And we have always maintained that the inviolability of the UN Charter and the UN principles has to be maintained, and the territorial integrity and sovereignty of countries has to be respected. So we have maintained a very principled stand. And, as our friend from Ukraine is saying, I think the time is ripe today that India can play a very meaningful role. So, what was mentioned that this is a symbolic visit, this might be for optics. Optics are all right, but I think this also, Poonam, has the potential of becoming a very substantive visit, a significant visit, because Prime Minister has told in so many very clear words that India and he himself stand ready to make a contribution. And the final word I would say here is that I think India is one of the few countries, if not the only country, which has access to both sides, which has excellent relations with the West, with the US, with Europe, with Ukraine, and also good relations with Russia. So I think India is a sort of a bridge that straddles across both these sides. And so India can play a very important role.
So not a fence sitter, but actually a bridge. That's how India should be looked at, because we have channels open with both countries, which is going to be extremely crucial as far as establishing that communication or that dialogue that we've been insisting upon to end strife. But Sina Kendrateva, we've seen the kind of reactions that came to the fore from Ukraine when Prime Minister Modi was in Moscow. Today, when tables are turned, how does Russia view this? Many say that this visit of the Prime Minister to Ukraine, in fact, could have been because of pressure from the West and Western allies. Do you agree?
Hi, Poonam. Thanks for having me. Well, answering your question, it could be a certain pressure, but I think India has managed that pressure pretty well. Very much possible that India would do it without such a pressure, because as you just rightly said, India has been advocating for diplomacy and dialogue, and what is not best example of, it's not enough to advocate in rhetorics, but Mr. Modi went to Kiev personally, went to Moscow personally, and he is showing by his own example that, he shows his actions and not just rhetoric. So I think that was a very important message to the global leaders who also engage in a lot of rhetorics, but their actions don't really seem to be aiming to any peace.
So it's a lot of rhetoric, it's a lot of lecturing, as one may call it, Major General Meston, also perhaps, that the pressure that's an unveiled pressure maybe, but that's being tried to put on India specifically to take sides, name Russia as the aggressor, a bait that India has never taken, is not going to take, because India knows what's at stake and how this diplomatic tightrope needs to be walked.
Absolutely, Poonam. I think India is very clear. We are not subject to any pressure from any country, neither from West, neither from Russia. We take our strategic autonomy very seriously, and whatever we do it in the national interest. And number two, we are doing it for the interest of the global peace. And after a successful G20 summit, some of the key highlights were, we got the African Union co-opted in the G20. Next is the IMEC corridor. That means the entire Europe and, of course, the Arabian Peninsula, including Saudi Arabia, and all these countries are on board. So this again shows. And plus the New Delhi Declaration clearly reflected that the United States and the EU signed the declaration. They diluted a stand on Russia. So what I'm trying to highlight that India is today a global player, and we have got the responsibility now. We take the responsibility, as rightly pointed out by a Prime Minister, that we are ready to take initiative for the peace process. And I would like to highlight that I think the seeds of the peace process has been sown by India, and it will take time to fructify. Why I'm also giving the highlight of the Korean War, which was from 1950 to 53. Again, let me highlight, since as a military historian, one has been reading a lot of books and on Korea, the limited war, and that India was referred to in that book. Now, when I did detailed research, there is one gentleman, Robert Burns. He has highlighted in his paper in 2013 that India was one of the leading roles to get a consensus in the United Nations, and it took about 18 months to build the peace process, and finally the armistice was signed. So what I'm trying to say is exactly, it's not a replica of the same thing, but yes, we have commenced the process, and I think both Russia and Ukraine are also very keen that this war now should end. Why? Firstly, it has got economic cost, manpower cost. There have been heavy casualties. Civilians have been affected. Infrastructure has been affected. And 30 months of just fighting. Where is it leading on to? So both sides are looking for a peaceful solution. Except who does it? Neither West will do it. Neither the Russian, whether it is China or North Korea or Iran will do it. It is India best suited for. We are the only nation we can talk to everyone. And today our strategic autonomy gives us that advantage. So I'm very hopeful that the Prime Minister of India has taken a great initiative. We have not come under any pressure. Second point is, I think there is a seriousness of this visit. Why? The timings matter. We are aware that just 2 weeks back, there has been aggression by Ukraine in Kursk. That means the Russian territory they have entered. And this has happened, 1943 was the last war in Kursk, the biggest tank battle, which was in 1943, July and August. This juncture, if India has gone, it is not annoying Russia, it is conveying a message that we mean business of peace. And that is why the Prime Minister has clearly stated that we are not on anyone's side, we are only on the side of peace. And you see the composition of the delegation. The Prime Minister of India has taken the Foreign Minister, the Foreign Secretary, the National Security Advisor, the Secretary West. The composition of the delegation, the timing, and the way Prime Minister has addressed, again highlighting the UN Charter, the territorial respect for territorial integrity and sovereignty, and also stating that this is not everything has to be resolved through diplomacy and dialogue. As a military man, I would like to highlight any wars you go into history. At the end of every war is finally diplomacy and dialogue. Here also it's high time, and I think India today now has taken the lead. Other global players will perhaps now take lead from India, and I think India can play a lead role, and it will take time. I just gave you the example of Korean crisis, took 18 months to fructify. Here it may take 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, but at least the seeds have been sown, and I commend the Prime Minister of India and the Indian diplomacy and our economic might and our military power, which compels us to be a lead player, global role, global in the world context. I think we have taken the correct decision. It's been not done under any pressure of the West or anyone.
And we'll talk about that peace effort and the attempts that have been made in the past as well. But I want to get in Mr. Goncharenko in once again. You know, from what you've heard on the panel, the sense is that India is not neutral in the sense that we don't want to take sides because that's uncomfortable for us. But we've done so with only one aim, that dialogue and diplomacy is required, which is why channels for both sides are open. Do the Ukrainian people, do you believe that, or are you happy, or do you accept that stance that we've taken, or do you still feel like we're fence-sitters?
Yeah, India, we know this policy of non-alignment, but I think you can be non-aligned to one or other side in the war. It's normal, but you can't be unaligned with the international law. And in situation with the war of Russia against Ukraine, everything is so clear. Russia violated international law. Russia violated internationally recognized borders. Russia violated international order. And India cannot be on the fence watching on this.
But we're not. That's exactly the point that we were trying to make. But, you know, let me rephrase that and ask you again. What is it that the Ukrainian side expects from us?
I think we are looking for a closer cooperation with India. I think we're looking for India using its leverage of its economical ties with Russia in order to pressure Russia to stop this war, to respect international law. I think these are the most important topics.
But respecting international law and the United Nations Charter is something that the Indian government, that the Prime Minister himself on multiple occasions has spoken of. And Senior, as far as the peace effort is concerned, you know, India and the Prime Minister has made it clear that we would want to play an active role. There is a peace summit that was spoken of today as well by the Prime Minister with the Ukrainian President. There has also been China, who's wanted to play peacemaker and mediator in the past, someone who is seen as to be close to Russia. How do you think this entire process is going to pan out?
Right. In July, India has not signed. It was a part of the peace effort, the Swiss-hosted summit, but it has not signed the documents like many other countries abstained from signing the joint communique, saying that both parties should be a part of the peace process. I think this is the main message and the main stand, that you cannot discuss peace with only one side of the conflict, backed by many other countries who are also, a part of the conflict because they finance and supply weapons. Now, when we look at India or China, for that matter, they are not the part of the conflict in that sense. They do not fuel the conflict by supplying weapons or whatever technologies, for this conflict to go on, unlike the West is doing. So I think practically, despite we discussed here right now that this was an important trip, it was an important message. I don't see realistically, we don't have any kind of changes on the ground, on the battlefield that lead us towards any possible fruitful negotiations. I think we only see escalation. So it's not very practical to talk right now about any firm peace efforts.
So is this just talk then, Ashok Sajanhar, that there is very little concrete stuff on ground to suggest that there is a peace effort in place, that we could be seeing the end of this strife 2.5 years later? Or are we still where we were?
Okay, the first thing is, I don't think this is just talk. I don't think the Indian Prime Minister, Mr. Modi, when he speaks, it is just for the sake of speaking. Because if it had been for the sake of speaking, he could have said the same things 2 years ago. But he has always been very measured. He's always been very deliberate in his comments. And I think it also needs to be noted that today there is a much greater movement towards peace than it has been over the last 30 months since the war started. Because I think earlier it was said that at least till just a month or 2 months ago, that Russia was in a much stronger position. It had a much more stronger hand. So, it would be able to get whatever it wanted if there were any discussions or negotiations. I think Ukraine has shown very clearly over the last 2-3 weeks that, it still has a lot of fight left in it. And it has really pushed President Putin to the back. So I think in that sense, at least on the face of it, there is some semblance of balance, because at the moment, the advantage is very much in the hands of Ukraine. They have taken about 1,500 square kilometers of land in the Kursk area. The second point, Poonam, is that there are all the countries, you mentioned about the Chinese peace initiative, the 13-point peace initiative that has fallen flat on its face. There are no takers for it, because, obviously it is seen to be one that is veering very much towards the Russian position. I think when India comes into it, there is not only the countries within the region, but also the United Nations, which also has confidence that, India could make a difference. The final point here I would like to make also is, what our Ukraine friend said, what the many of the Western countries have said, that India has not criticized or condemned Russia for its actions, and it should do so. The point I'm making is, if India had done so, what would that have led Russia to? Russia would have basically gone even more into the arms, into the embrace of China. Is it good for the world? Is it good for India? If India had not bought that oil, not refined that oil and supplied it to the West, the prices of energy, even in the West, would have risen much further. You know, I'm in the United Kingdom today. I've been traveling in this region. I have seen how energy prices have risen and how the common people are feeling about this rise in energy prices. And if India had not bought this oil, refined it and supplied it, provided it to the West, provided it to Europe, the prices would have risen even further. So I think as far as Ukraine is concerned and the other Western countries are concerned, they really need to have a look at the totality of the situation as to, find it is good that, you criticize Russia, you condemn Russia. But then what? Meaning, what is going to be the implication of that? What is, the result of that? Would India have been able to meet Prime Minister Modi, able to meet Mr. Putin in Samarkand and told him that this is not the era of war? Would he have been able to go to Moscow in July and tell him that no disputes can be resolved on a battlefield and all issues need to be discussed and resolved through diplomacy and dialogue?
And speaking of the bigger picture, speaking of in totality, I want to get in Major General Meston as well, because this is, yes, the conflict and what's happening between Russia and Ukraine is of utmost importance. It was one of the top things or top priorities as far as this visit of the Prime Minister is concerned. But there are also bigger goals that India eyes, isn't it? And that is greater engagement, specifically with Eastern Europe. That's something we're now trying to focus on. We want to find or foster better relations with allies perhaps that were forgotten. We want to strengthen that as well. And that's the bigger picture that India is looking at too.
Yeah, absolutely. The bigger picture is we want to start an engagement with Eastern Europe. See, Eastern Europe earlier was under the influence of the erstwhile Soviet Union. There is no doubt. They were, the communist rule had come right up to Romania, Bulgaria and most of these countries. And today the scenario is very different. So India is now looking to re-engage. All these countries are important. Of course, erstwhile Czechoslovakia now, where it is Czech Republic, and all these countries, Romania, Bulgaria, Poland, they're very, very important to us in every respect. But the larger picture now, if you see, is, the point has been coming out that the Russia offensive. See, after all, why the offensive went is to be pondered. Number two, now the offensive is gone. See, war is very, very easy to start. No one can predict the outcome of a war, and exactly that is what has happened. Today, 30 months have lapsed. Where have we reached to? Some territories have been annexed. In this case also, now they have also gone and captured some areas of Kursk. But where have they reached to? There is no end state in sight. If you see the President Putin's directive, it was denazification and demilitarization. I think that war aim itself was quite, what word should I use? It was not a very clear-cut objective. So the final thing was, that why is the NATO going to Russia? But I have a different take here. When I was in the Afghanistan, posted there, I remember same Russia had given the NATO, a base in Yulian, in their oblast, which is Ulyanovsk Oblast. A air base was given for 2 years for the Northern Distribution Network for transit facilities. So again, one fails to understand, if NATO was this thing, why was the NATO logistics transit base given by Russia? And so therefore, the larger context comes why this war actually started. And if you remember, in the BRICS summit, the first statement made, I think, directly to President Putin by our Prime Minister was, this is not the era for war. Secondly, it also stated that we respect the territorial integrity and sovereignty of every nation as per the UN Charter. I think this was a very loud and clear message. But now if you see the end state of both countries, if today both the presidents are asked, what are you looking for? I think the President Zelensky would be looking for entire return of the territories.
Yes.
Russia would say, we will not return the territory because we have lost so many people. So it is a very catch-22 situation, and probably this invasion in Kursk has been done for some kind of a negotiation, maybe for the area of Kherson or Zaporizhia.
Which also makes India's stance and the kind of position that India has taken with both countries even more significant, isn't it? Unfortunately, I'm completely out of time, but I have to leave it at that. I thank you all for joining us here on this broadcast. What we're now learning is that Prime Minister Modi has in fact wrapped up his Ukraine visit. He is going to be going across to Poland like he travelled to Ukraine. He's going back to Warsaw, from where he will be coming back to India. A wrap-up of his Ukraine visit.
कीव के रेलवे स्टेशन से आपसे बात कर रहा हूं। भारत के प्रधानमंत्री अपने इस ऐतिहासिक दौरे को ख़त्म करके लौट रहे हैं। ये पहली दफ़ा है कि भारत के यहाँ से हमारे प्रधानमंत्री इस देश के दौरे पे आए हैं। आज सवेरे उनकी बातचीत यहाँ के राष्ट्रपति से हुई और शुरुआत उन्होंने बापू को नमन करके किया। यहाँ पर एक बाग में बापू की प्रतिमा है, वहाँ पर उन्हें श्रद्धांजलि अर्पित की और उनका संदेश जो है वो लोगों को याद दिलाया। हमारे साथ जुड़े रहिए इस दौरे के बारे में जानने के लिए और अन्य चीज़ों के बारे में जानने के लिए। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
From Ukraine to the United States, India and the United States have signed two key defense agreements as Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh began his official